Dear Minister, dear Deputy Minister, dear Secretaries General, representatives of bodies and authorities, I would like to welcome you to this opening information open day that we organize in the context of the Thessaloniki International Fair, where it is a great pleasure for us because we managed in short notice, and you know that we are the first ones. Greece is the first country to implement the approved NSRF programs. So we thought that today it would be a good opportunity to have short, and I will highlight short units and sessions on the sectoral programs that are in the competence of our ministry. All sectoral programs are very important. We are planning an event for the regions. There will be another event for digital transformation, because we are now in a phase where soon we will have all the monitoring and the steering committees. So the new NSRF 2021-2027 will start being implemented soon. So I will only chair the discussion, but please allow me, since I have the microphone, and since this is the end of a long cycle that will, my last one, since this is my fifth programming period, I will not participate again in consultation and negotiation. All my partners and the associates in Greece, in the European Commission, in the ministries, in the committees, everywhere, and under the guidance and the support and commitment of the political leadership, we managed we achieved a lot of things. So I would like to thank my colleagues from the bottom of my heart, and all our partners from the family of the NSRF, and of course the political leadership that fully supported us. Thank you. We would like to thank you very much. As Mr. Tsakiris and Mr. Skalkos will soon take the floor, will come over, I would like to give the floor to the Minister. You, dear Minister, you are the first one to take the floor.
Dear Yannis, thank you for giving me the floor. Because I would like to thank you because you mentioned that Tsakiris and Skalkos are the wild guys in this hall, and you didn't give my name as being the wild one. Thank you for that. That was a pleasant surprise. First of all, I would like to thank the moderator, a warm welcome, a warm applause for all this year's hard work. I would also like to thank all of you who work in the NSRF program, both in the private sector and in the authority units. Thank you very much. This great success in the NSRF, having a very quick absorption of current NSRF and the approval of the new NSRF has been achieved thanks to you. My warmest congratulations on that. I do know that you have worked hard and you have worked overtime. And you have proven that public servants do work, despite what it is said about them. You have worked with fewer aides to help you. thanks to your hard work, you have managed not only to succeed giving a wide face in the political leadership, but mainly you gave a good face and a good reputation to the Greek people, because the quick absorption of NSRF in 2020 and 2021 has contributed significantly to have less recession in 2020 and in 2021 and 22 to achieve this great growth that has been achieved not by the government or Mitsotakis or Georgiadis or Tsakiris, but this is an achievement of the Greek people, and you are the leaders and significant contributors to that. You should know that. We have gathered here to present the new giant NSRF program, 4 billion euros, oriented to support SMEs, evidently towards green and digital, according to the European Commission guidelines. This will contribute to the fastest transformation of the Greek economy towards a sustainable growth. From this podium, I would like to thank mainly from the bottom of my heart all the aides of the European Commission and all the executives of the European Commission, because they are our direct and immediate partners. My greetings to Elisa Ferreira, my dear friend and partner who has been always by your side through this difficult course. And of course, all of you. I would like always to keep in mind that Greece is the good example for Europe. Greece was a bet for Europe during the Memoranda and Bebolai decade, when we were on the news about Brexit case. And the European Union gave us giant loans in order for us to remain in the Eurozone, believing in us that we will get away from this crisis. And you should know that without Europe, we wouldn't have made it. Greece is now returning this trust and confidence that Europe has shown to us by advertising now the success of the European Union. And we are doing that now because it is the time that is very hard for Europe, one of the hardest time after the Second World War. So today, Europe and Greece and Europe will move on together for a better future for our pupils, prosperity, social justice, and the environment. Today, here, Yannis Tsakiris will present the technical details together with Mr. Skalkos. Today, we are starting the first new program that is included in the new NSRF programming period 21-27. This is a program about energy efficiency and sufficiency and energy saving for Greek SMEs. There is no doubt, and I believe that our European partners will agree upon that. If there was need for energy saving at some time, only for environmental reasons, today, as things have occurred, energy saving has become a factor of sustainability and survival of SMEs in the new era that has started after the Russia invasion to Ukraine. There is no time to waste. We have no right to waste any further time. We want to use and take advantage of the funds that the EU offers to us in such a generous manner in order to move on to the energy transition of Greek SMEs, so that these Greek SMEs will become energy autonomous by producing and generating their own energy through their own means, that is photovoltaic panels, because solar energy is one of the easiest form and there is in abundance here in Greece, so it would be a waste not to use it. We will stand by all Greek SMEs in order to achieve that, following a model that will be as fast as possible as all NSRF procedures are, so that we will replace all the equipment that is needed and the installation of photovoltaic panels that will allow the generation of electricity for each SME in order to be used by the SME itself. We are not talking about net metering. That's more complicated. It has to be connected to the grid, which is overloaded in Greece, unfortunately, and this wouldn't allow many businesses to move to net metering. But it is safe and possible for each SME to use the electricity that it generates on its own. And in this way, the electricity that is generated by the company will contribute both to the benefit of the company itself, and it will also contribute to energy saving for the whole of Greek economy, which has become a term of national survival today. I believe that this first program of the new NSRF responds to the needs of our time to move as fast as possible and to support SMEs in this deep crisis we have been going through. I'm very proud of being here and officially opening this program. In a few weeks, we will be able to provide to our companies this useful tool. And in this way, Greece will set the example, because this will help our economy, and additionally, it will help the EU in order to make European continent energy autonomous and neutral, so that we can have sustainable growth respecting the environment in a green way, in order to set the example for the rest of humanity in this great fight against climate change. Thank you, all of you, dear Rodi, Manolis, Plato, Secretary General, for being with us. We will do great things in the new NSRF program 21-27. Thank you very much.
So now I would like to give the floor to our Deputy Minister, Mr. Yannis Tsakiris, who's in charge and competent. He's in charge of all these sectoral programs that are starting today. Thank you very much, Mr. Firbas. Dear Minister, I would just like to make a short comment on what Mr. Firbas said. Good executives are sometimes recalled and they are recruited. So This is my answer to what you said, Mr. Firbas. So, a new NSRF, we have to take a last step in order to start implementing the actions that we have planned. And this is the definition of the monitoring committees. Within the next 40 days, we will complete this step as well. And then we are starting with the implementation of the actions. First, we will have the actions of the operational program Competitiveness, Entrepreneurship and Innovation. This new NSRF is of larger scale than compared to the previous one, 26.5 million euro. It is easier in terms of its processes and operations, new operational programs that are more targeted. We have an operational program for civil protection, another program for technical assistance. We have an operational program for digital transformation. We have separated IMEPARA to climate energy on one hand and transportation on the other side. We have strengthened and we have reinforced the EPANEC program, that is the program for competitiveness, entrepreneurship and innovation, and we have linked it with competitiveness more, and we are ready to start our actions, starting from the SMEs, in order to prevent any financing gap. Now, as for the specification of the sectoral and the regional programs, Mr. Skalkos, Mr. Zervos will be presenting the technical details. I would just like to add on what the Minister said the following. The competitiveness program, the old EPANEC, starts with two landmark actions. One of them concerns the digital transition of SMEs and is supplementary to the recovery fund because there is also an action for the digital transformation. It is an action of the recovery fund, so it acts in a supplementary way with 400 million euro. And we have the action for the green transition of the SMEs, having a budget of 700 million euro. And this concerns all the things that the Minister mentioned. It is extremely important to say that the procedure for the submission of applications, the evaluation and the payment process is totally different than what we used to know. We will use the FIFO evaluation system, so payments to the SMEs and to the real economy will be as fast as possible. So that's all I wanted to say. I would like to thank, from my part, the personnel, the staff, all those who have worked hard for the NSRF, and of course the political leadership, the Minister who has lobbied and who has supported us, Mr. Skalkos, Mrs. Dandolou, and Mr. Zervos, for their hard work. Thank you very much.
Okay, last but not least,
Mr. Dimitris Skalkos, the Secretary General for Public Investments and the NSRF. Dimitris, thank you once again for all the work that we have carried out as a team. Good afternoon, dear Minister, dear Deputy Minister, dear Deputy Governor, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know how to start because the Minister and the Deputy Minister said everything I wanted to mention. So we are at the starting point of the new programming period and we have the certainty and the optimism of the staff and of the employees who know that they have worked well up to now. It's not only this new NSRF, it's not only that all the sectoral programs have been completed. It's a range of other things. The good preparation that we have performed, ambitious strategies for a smart specialization, for a circular economy, for social policies, a series, a range of actions that make this new NSRF not only the most rapidly approved program, but an ambitious program that can contribute to the transformation of the economy and the enhancement of social cohesion. So most of you have probably attended our conference at Kalamata. We have heard the Greek Prime Minister, Mr. Mitsotakis, and the Commissioner in charge of Cohesion, Mrs. Ferreira, to praise our work. We have the NSRF, but we also have the Cohesion Fund. It has been approved. It was one of the first to have been approved. We have received the first installment already. We were the first to complete the procedures for the new monitoring framework under the Recovery Fund. All these show that we are a country that has the human resources who can plan, who can program, who can schedule, and who can implement modern programs and projects such as the ones that are funded by European resources. A new programming period, it's not only the approval of the programs, it's a whole monitoring system. The next month we will have the first regions or areas of the first information system for state funds. We have proceeded with the consultations, and next weeks you will see the new system of management and control. The procedure for specialization has been completed. You will see it on Monday, signed. So we are ready, and the next weeks, the monitoring committees, according to the European Commission, will start working in the next 40 days. The first one will start at the mid of October, and the last one will be completed at the end of November. And then we will have new invitations that concern many different funds. It's not only the good performance in the planning of this new programming period. We have worked also hard. We had one of the best performances according to the European Commission, the best performances in terms of the absorption of European funds. This is important as well. We should say that since summer 2019, we have proceeded with the integration and approval of projects that exceed 18 billion euro. We have legal commitments and that these contracts for 16 billion euro. We have real actual payments that exceed 11.5 billion euro. So we have an increase of 46 to 47%. Another important part of these figures was provided to support the SMEs and enterprises amid the pandemic crisis, and so we had an overall budget of 13.5 billion euro to support SMEs. So I should have said all this at the beginning of my speech. Since I only have 10 minutes, as Yannis said, I would like to warmly thank all of us, and we would like, as the minister and the deputy minister said, we all worked hard. We made a great job, and despite the adverse conditions and amid the crisis, amid the pandemic that burdened us with a lot of challenges and a lot of troubles, but we managed to solve many problems through remote working and digital technology. So thank you once again. Let's move on for the next programming period.
Λοιπόν, μετά τις πραγματικά...
So, following this truly brief initial interventions, we can now move on with our program and our agenda. For each panel, I would like to call the two speakers. So, the first panel is starting. The topic is Competitiveness 21-27. The two speakers are Georgios Zervos, who is the Special Secretary for the European programs management, and Konstantinos Niafas as well. Who is the executive of Greece and Cyprus unit from the General Directorate for Regional and Urban Policy of the European Commission. I would like to thank all of you for participating in this event. We will shortly present the program Competitiveness 2021-27. It's the first entrepreneurship program that was approved in EU, and it's the first NSRF program 21-27 approved in Greece. The total budget of the program is 3.9 billion euros. What is the objective of the program? It is to intervene in productive, competitive, and extrovert sectors of the Greek economy. 76 agencies participated, and we work together with the European Commission services, and I would like to thank them for the excellent cooperation that was extremely constructive. What is the objective of the program? To connect and link research and innovation with entrepreneurship, and to support the national and regional advantages in order to be harmonized with EU policies on digital and green transformation. This strategy is very important because it links research and innovation with industry, reflecting the needs of the Greek economy. Which are the basic accesses for investment? First of all, supporting research and innovation. As the two previous speakers said, reinforcing competitiveness and entrepreneurship of SMEs is a new axis in a competitiveness program for the first time. Another axis is the development of human capital in the framework of developmental planning. We can see how important these axes are in this pie. Let's move on now to have a look at the priorities of the program. Priority number 1 has to do with reinforcing research and innovation. We have two specific objectives, 1.2 and 1.3. We aim at promoting research and innovation that will be in line with the strategy of the country in the framework of sustainable growth after the pandemic, accelerating the green and digital transformation of businesses. Here you can see the various categories of actions and the eligible actions. Second priority is specific objective 1.2 that has to do with reinforcing entrepreneurship and competition. It has to do with the digital transition of businesses. We want to help SMEs meet the challenges of the fourth industrial revolution. the Deputy Minister announced the first iconic project that will be held in this framework. Let's move on to reinforcing entrepreneurship and competitiveness. We want to improve the position of Greek production in international market. The Deputy Minister mentioned something critical, not to have a financial gap from the EPANEC program 2014 to 2020 in the new competitiveness program of 2021-27. Why this observation is important? We should not forget that in the framework of EPANEC implementation, SMEs were given 4.5 billion euros, having a great number of approved SMEs in order to meet the pandemic impact. This is unprecedented figures, both for Greece and EU, and this has been recognized in the relevant European Commission reports. The Greek SMEs were supported concerning their resilience against pandemic and their restart, and now we must support them concerning the support of their productive operation. That's very important. That's why the minister said that we'll have a program that will support the green transition of businesses. Let's move on to priority 3. This has to do with the improvement of business access to financing. We wanted to use the financial funds in the best possible way. For the first time, there is a distinct such actions. This is a clear choice of the Ministry of Growth and Development in order to have an autonomous such axis, because the ministry invests in this priority. Why? Because there is the experience of the previous period where the main arm was the Hellenic Developmental Bank that had a budget that allowed the support of Greek businesses. Based on this experience and the lessons we took, we will try to further develop these actions to the benefit of SMEs. I would like to mention an example here. It is a fund that guarantees very small businesses. It started with a big budget, but then it was reduced. However, the added value of this implemented action is very important, because more than 6,500 small businesses that didn't have access to the banking system managed to receive this financial support. This experience is extremely important because it helps very small businesses to go into banks and acquire bank loans. Let's move on to priority 4, dear Patrick. It has to do with the development of human capital. The budget is more than 530 million euros. The objective is to support human capital of entrepreneurship, including self-employed people, so that businesses and employees can adjust to the new data of our era. That is upskilling and mainly reskilling. That's extremely important. The managing authority has given a lot of emphasis both to upskilling and reskilling, so that all employees will acquire the necessary skills in order to meet the new demands of the labor market. This won't be done following the previous processes. We will have new procedures that are more simple and have measurable results, and in this way they will be more effective and efficient. Each new program, when it starts the procedures of designing and planning, has some iconic emblematic actions. The first one has to do with the green transition of SMEs. that has to do with the financing of SMEs in order to improve their productivity and to adopt solutions friendly to the environment. The second one has to do with the digital transformation of SMEs and to meet the needs of SMEs according to the existing digital and technological maturity of theirs. The objective is to include the modern digital technologies in their productivity and production procedure. The third one is called Research, Create, and I Innovate. It aims at linking research and innovation to entrepreneurship. During the previous period, we wanted to link these two. Research is not carried out for the sake of research. It aims at entrepreneurship and mainly to reinforce competitiveness, productivity, and extroversion of the country and businesses. This is the program. It's very ambitious. It's excellently designed by the managing authority. A lot of congratulations on the competent agency for their excellent work. The objective is to meet the needs of SMEs at the specific time, and there are a lot of challenges that have to be met. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for being short. So you are a member of the committee. You are highly experienced in being short, and so you worked with us along the programming and the planning. We talked with the managing authority and with the committee. So, dear Minister, dear Deputy Minister, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I would like to thank you for the kind invitation. We are very happy to be here. As Mr. Firiba said, we had an excellent collaboration. The central authorities and services of the ministry, Mr. Zervos, with the highly experienced and excellent associates of the managing authority, and all our colleagues and partners in Athens who worked on these projects and programs. I think the result is the proof of this hard work. The European Commission approved the first competitiveness program. It was the first one to be approved in Europe. This is due to the prompt. This is due to the prompt actions as well as the excellent cooperation that we had. Let's not forget that this approval took place at a moment when, as was mentioned by the Secretary General and the Deputy Minister, we had a coordinated action and effort in order to absorb the funds. That led to the creation of a financing space to have the financial fund, the funds from the European Union available in order to support and enhance the competitiveness and the entrepreneurship of the SMEs. The main venture and the main goal of the competitiveness program is the smooth transition from the one financing period to the other, and the prevention of a financing gap. So we believe that the main factors that affect the competitiveness of the SMEs is the entrepreneurial innovation, the interconnection with the economy, the upgrading, the upskilling, and the mobilization of the human resources, and the financing of entrepreneurship. All this within the framework of the promotion of the green economy and of sustainable economy. So, serving these objectives, the important funds that exceed €1 billion will be provided by the central competitiveness program as well as from the regional programs in order to support entrepreneurship and smart specialization that aims at supporting startups of technological startups, extroversion, and the promotion of the dual transition to circular economy and to digital transformation. This is something that we have to keep in our mind. It reflects the national objective up to 2030. We have to reach 1.8% of the GDP that will be dedicated to research and innovation, technological innovation. We had a continuous increase in all these indicators in our country, and from the private sector, due to the effective absorption of European funds coming from the Horizon as well as the other NSRF programs. The Secretary General talked about the important programs like I Create, I Innovate. This is an excellent practice, and we are very happy that it will be extended in the next programming period as well. We also have the axis concerning the digitization of SMEs and the introduction of digital technologies. As for the funding and the financing of entrepreneurship through the special target 1.3, we believe that we must identify some weaknesses in the field of entrepreneurship, SMEs entrepreneurship. We have a problem with the small size enterprises that create problems with their bank lending and their access to the bank financing. So we believe that we must give more opportunities in order to increase the size of the enterprises, to make them more extroverted, create new opportunities for collaborations and partnerships, and to introduce technologies and new innovative solutions. And finally, there's also the issue of the inequality in employment and the participation in the labor market. This is an issue that is covered by the European fund. In the program, we also have on one the actions of the European fund, and the other hand we have the actions that will support smart specialization and the promotion of industry 0.4. So we know that the funding of the special objective is focusing on the entrepreneurship and competitiveness program. So we need the good coordination of all the regions so that the central program can also cover the needs and meet the needs that are created in the regions for this specific objective. Finally, I would like to say a few things about the financing tools. This new program continues and expands best practices of the previous programming period. Visibility, there's high visibility in all the actions, especially in priority number 3, with 730 million euro. From the ESPA, we also have the Greek Developmental Bank that has the know-how and has highly contributed in the financing of the SMEs in the previous period. We see that we continue in the same way in the next period, and its actions are expanded. At the same time, the Equifund that was a landmark action will be expanded and will be continued this period as well, so that small startups and we also have the growth window that will continue with the Equifund actions. And finally, we have the Green Fund that covers the issues of the Green Deal and provides funds in order to achieve the objectives concerning the investments of green economy and circular economy. It is very important to coordinate and to combine these funding tools with grants, state grants, in order to be able to have a better targeting in the next programming period and to get out of the traditional granting system, the de minimis system, and to proceed to the next system that will drive the funding of sectors, of technological sectors, as specified through the procedure of entrepreneurial discovery and smart specialization. Let me mention some objectives and results of the program that we are pursuing. This program is expected to support more than 27,000 SMEs. Out of them, about 10,000 will be supported by funding and financing tools, and the rest by grants, by state grants. We will have the creation of about 950 new jobs for researchers in SMEs and organizations. And indicatively, I would like to mention that we are expecting the SMEs, the enterprises, to be benefited by digital services, products, and applications of 400 million euro. All these show the tools that are provided in the next period. In this next period, we are very happy, and we want to continue the excellent cooperation and collaboration that we have with the managing authority and with the ministry. We are looking forward to the continuous monitoring and follow-up of all the actions, the good coordination of the regional programs, and the simplification of the procedures for the beneficiaries that will lead to the optimal result for all. Thank you very much, and let's wish every success to our efforts. Thank you.
I would like to thank both speakers. Unfortunately, our program is very tight, and there hasn't been planned and scheduled to have any questions. But as the speakers go on, a lot of things will be clarified. But I would like to make a comment. Your program will mean a lot for NSRF. And this is the competitiveness program for anyone who might not have understood. Mr. Niafas, Mr. Zervos said. And let's move on to the second panel. Adriana Manoli.
Okay.
Λοιπόν.
Yeah. Γιάννη, όποτε είμαστε έτοιμοι, ξεκινάμε.
Λοιπόν, χωρίς καμία...
Without further ado or delay, let's move on to the second panel on the European Social Fund program called SIN, that is Plus. This is the biggest program of the new NSRF 2021-27. It's the program on human resources and social cohesion. There were two changes at the very last moment concerning our initial program. The Special Secretary of the European Program Plus, as well as the Director of the competent agency of the European Commission, Mrs. Kauffmann, could not attend the conference and give a presentation. Instead of these two people, we have invited two other people who are very experienced in issues of social fund. From the Greek part, we have got the director of the special agency for the management of the program, Mrs. Andriana Manoli, and my friend Patrick Paquet, who is the head of unit in charge of Greece and Cyprus concerning the social fund. Adriana, you have the floor. Good afternoon. Good evening, rather. I'll try to be brief. Our program on human resources and social cohesion is financed exclusively by the social fund. Its budget is 4 billion euros, which are the objectives of this program. First of all, to improve access to employment, to improve employability, especially for those people who are up to 29 years of age and they are out of education, training and employment. And they are mainly people that have low educational qualifications. Another very important objective of the program is to improve the educational systems at all levels and inclusive education. That is, equal access for everybody to primary, secondary, and tertiary education, as well as lifelong learning and adult education. Of course, giving emphasis on inclusive education. Another very important objective is food support to those fellow citizens of ours who live on the margin of poverty. We have got an important budget for actions concerning young people up to 29 years of age that are out of training, education and employment. Of course, we have the social innovation where we include the ALMA actions in order to help these young people once again with innovative approaches in order to help them become part of the labor market. I think I haven't forgotten anyone. And of course, we have got technical support and aid. As you can see on the slide, through this program, we serve the objective of the country to absorb 14% of the social fund resources for actions that have to do with young people, and 6% for actions that have to do with food support. And we have 0.65% of the resources in order to support our social partners. The priorities of the program are 7. They are the systemic and horizontal interventions in order to transform the labor market and to intervene in the health sector, especially in primary health care and mental health. Priority 2 has to do with employment and labor market. The budget is 1.3 billion euros. Education and lifelong learning, 1.2. Social innovation, 25 million. Youth employment, food support, and technical support with 53 million. Can we move on to the next slide, please? In priority one, we can see what the objective is. This objective is to support the interventions and systemic actions for the modernization, adaptation, and support of the institutions, services, and mechanisms that survey labor market, transition to the labor market, including healthy and active aging, the entrepreneurial and institutional ability of social partners, supporting and promoting demographic policy, and the sex equality policy, and to fight against transsexual violence. The mechanism for monitoring the efficiency of educational policy and linking educational systems to the labor market, upgrading the mechanism for the coordination and assessment of the social inclusion policies. The second priority of the program refers to employment and labor market. It aims to tackle unemployment and support employability, to promote people who seek a job to the labor market, giving emphasis on long-term unemployed people, women, and not active people. We also aim at low-incomers, people who live below the poverty line with low educational background, disabled people, Roma, etc. Another objective is to promote the equal participation of two genders to the labor market with targeted actions in order to harmonize professional and family life. And this does not include only kindergartens and nursery schools. Priority 3 is a very important priority in this program. It aims to improve the quality, inclusion, and effectiveness of the educational system in order to acquire skills and completion of studies and linking to the labor market. Another very important target is to support equal access to all education levels, giving emphasis on supporting people with disability or special educational needs, as well as people coming from vulnerable social groups. Another very important goal that reflects the strategy of the Ministry for Education is the upgrading of vocational training and education that includes the extroversion and mobility of apprentices, trainees, and trainers. And it will support skills growth and development in contemporary fields of the economy like blue economy, circular economy, and climate change. The policy of the ministry is also to support the general education of adults and their vocational orientation in order to promote learning opportunities in groups of people that should be further supported for their personal growth and career. In a world that changes so fast, in a labor market that evolves so fast, you can all realize how important is to have this education of adults. Priority 4 refers to social innovation. It includes actions aiming at the institutional and management strengthening of the agencies in order to provide innovative actions. Another target is the improvement of access to employment through innovative interventions. The ALMA program for the cross-border mobility of young people, giving emphasis to those who have low qualifications and with disability. Another objective is to create clusters and hubs in order to promote initiatives on social entrepreneurships in the field of blue, green, and circular economy. Another target is to reinforce the social inclusion of people from vulnerable social groups. Priority 5 refers to youth employment. We give a huge emphasis on this priority. The objective is to promote young people up to 29 years of age who are beyond employment, education, and training in order to help them to enter the labor market and to provide them with apprenticeship and internships, as well as certification of skills and reinforce youth entrepreneurship. Our final priority that is extremely important with a very intense character is food support and fighting against material deprivation. We aim to support people who live under the poverty line by providing them food support, and in this way we will help them to be included in the society. It's very important to say that we give emphasis on supporting children that are part of these kind of families, because these packages are adapted to the needs of the families that have young children. That is, we distribute school material or milk for children. Now, I'd like to say a few things about the projects that have strategic value. We have open programs for what does this mean? It is open intervention where we provide training, consultation, and then these people can either be promoted to entrepreneurship or get some points in order to be hired by companies. An iconic action of ours is neighborhood nannies that is being implemented on a pilot basis, and next year it will be implemented in all municipalities in the country. It's an extremely innovative project because it supports not only the family that has young children, but also those families that have babies, because these babies can be taken care of by certified people in certified places. Inclusive education for students with disability. The budget is quite significant. It's 13.5 million euros. Another important action is the extension of the hours that the kindergarten schools and primary schools will be in operation this year, so that children can have better access to an inclusive educational program without any discrimination. And parents who work are also helped in this case. The programs that support youth entrepreneurship are very important, giving emphasis on green, blue, and digital economy, and in the sectors of high growth. I hope that I haven't tired you. No, you haven't tired us, but I had to push you because you have run out of time. Patrick, the floor is yours. Could you please tell us what is the new things that the European Commission expects to see from this program?
Thank you very much.
Σας ευχαριστώ.
Adriana Manoli for the excellent presentation. I hope you can hear me well. I'm very happy to be with you today. I would like to, before entering into all this, just stop a second and indeed join the chorus of thanks to all of you for the good cooperation we had in the last years to prepare these programs. Let's just measure that 1 year ago I was here with you to discussing the fact that Greece was the first member state having approved the partnership agreement. And for a long time it has been the first. And it set really the perspective for our work very well. And then the rest of the talks took some time because it is a huge program, a huge collection of programs. But we knew where we were going. We had a good course, and now we are there. All sector programs were already adopted in June, early July. And then last week, we finished the work on all the regional programs. Here in Central Macedonia, it's good to note this, that all the 13 regions have also now their ESPA program in place. So it's a fantastic result, which meant a lot of sweat during every week of July and August of both your services and ours, but I'm very happy and proud of the achievement we have now, because Greece is indeed well equipped with this collection of programs to prepare for the challenges. And let's focus now on the challenges indeed. If we look at all what has happened in Europe and to Greece in Europe with the pandemic, which was mentioned, the other crises hitting since, and the legacy of the Greek crisis, clearly the human resource social cohesion is at the centerpiece of Greece's future efforts to work towards a fair, inclusive, resilient economy and society. And therefore it's hugely important. Maybe those who are familiar with the former EPANAD would have guessed by the presentation from Adriana that the ambition of the new program is even bigger. The scope is broader. We have new domains. The program will serve as a toolbox to really advise and help implement also a number of social policies, also helping, for instance, the European Child Guarantee develop fully its meaning and impact, also towards groups like third country nationals or Roma people, to have also tools in this program to help the regions then deliver. And I'm making this link because in all areas, the national program will be doing the bulk of the work, but also the regions will come in. And if we look at social policies, it will actually be mainly the regions. So what we have encouraged is really not to approach ESF with too many chapels, but as a one, common endeavor of all the different authorities and stakeholders in Greece. So that's the first thing. The second thing, we could hear it also almost every second word line was about how to innovate in different areas. And for me, this is really the outcome of the programming. The new program breezes of innovation, of new approaches, and looking then at the different priorities, it will do things differently. The first big block is indeed this systemic actions, We had it before, but now the context is different. On the one hand, there is a strategic framework, policies in place, but also new legislation in place in the Ministry of Education, in the Ministry of Labor. We had the reforms of labor market policies. We had the reform of DIPA, or I had DIPA. We had, in recent years, the reform of the vocational education training. All this is our foundations. They are renewed, but it's not enough to do a law. You need to implement it, and here is the means to help this work. So that's the focus of the systematic actions. Also, the link to the recovery fund is there, because they are starting some of the work, and the program will continue or complement. It will work together. And these systemic actions will also help new domains. So that's a bigger hat for you, Adriana, to manage and navigate. But I think it's very promising. Then if we look at employment, that was always the heart of the program, and it will continue to be the heart of the program. What strikes me is the welcome emphasis on the young people, almost 1 billion euros dedicated to the young people, in a country where youth unemployment remains terribly high. We should do always better. And this is, for me, the first priority, but also the flagship, if I may say, of this program in the coming years. Let's do our best towards the young people. And actually, among the results, there will be 200,000 young people that will be supported to enter the labor market, and another 80,000 supported with apprenticeships and traineeships. So for me, that's really the crown of the whole program. But together on employment policies, I think what is remarkable is the new approach to active labor market policies, helped with the new labor market, labor needs diagnosis mechanism. All this to work and work and work towards making all this support far more relevant for the labor market, but also far more relevant for every individual accessing, with more individual advice, counseling. And the last dimension on employment I want to mention is the women, the employment of women in Greece. There's still a 20% gap between employment of women and employment of men. And we have means in the program.
That's why we have a lot of actions.
We have a lot of actions. It's really far more than before, and this is absolutely vital, because Greece has this very ambitious target under the European Pillar of Social Rights of attaining 71% of employment by the end of the decade. This will only happen if the young people are at work and if the women are at work. And I would add also the older people stay at work longer. So this is a huge challenge, and the program can help you addressing it. Then the next priority is the learning. It's bridging, because we should not do anything in the employment without having the focus on learning and skills. This is all tied together. But here again, what is remarkable with the new program is that it will really regenerate the training system. I think there has been huge conversation between the Commission and the Greek authorities, and then increase between the Greek government and stakeholders about the quality control, about the accessibility also of training. It should not be difficult to find. It should come to you almost. We will have the skills account, so innovation again, and how to provide this. It's a new landscape, and I'm extremely excited that we'll be working on this together in the next months to make it happen. And I think for the audience, I think before there was a lot of talk of SMEs and the needs of companies. This is also about equating, the individual choices, the human capital, and also these needs of growth model. And what is striking is this emphasis also that on digital and green skills across the programs. We have other programs too, but also the HRC will be helping here for making the digital transition and the green transition an opportunity rather than a burden and a danger for the whole society. So that's maybe the last block just to mention briefly, and I conclude, don't worry, is that we have now the former TEVA in Greek, or FEAD in English, is now part of the main ESF program. It's a part, the consequence of the new regulation, but it's part also of a choice to make this work on material deprivation an integral part of the whole approach of European Social Fund implementation. Because there are a lot of bridges, a lot of links. It's really about not only helping with material aid and food, but also accompanying those in need. And here again, Greece has a target, which is to reduce by 7.5% the number of people in poverty. This will not happen without a lot of accompaniment. So therefore, I'm very happy that this is one of the essential strands of this program. And here, what is also very important is, again, is the emphasis on children.
Yes.
It's part of the measures, the set of measures to implement in Greece the child guarantee, which is really one of the new things under the European Social Fund. And I'm very happy that it's so much present in this program. And then we have the regional programs to do also the bulk of it, that is early child education and care, and support to specialized education. So, very good, bravo. I can only conclude very positively this phase, and now we're looking forward to maybe first presenting this in more and more audiences. We will have the monitoring committees in the autumn. Let's have also more talks like this together with these meetings so that people get interested, because it should be a people's program, the human resource social.
That's the point.
Exactly.
Actually, μέσα στη διαχειριστική θα μιλήσω ελληνικά, εφόσον υπάρχει διερμηνία.
I'll be speaking in Greek. In the managing authority, there's an internal joke. We take an infant, we follow it up, we take it to the school, we take it to the university, we train it, we give the best possible education and training, and then we introduce it to the labor market. But we also have actions for the adults, because we have actions for active eldering. Aging. So it is a program for the whole of the society, for all ages. It is made of from people, and it is for people. Thank you very much, both. You were on time, and you were short, and you were you gave all the necessary details and information. Thank you very much.
We move on now. The speaker is off mic. So, according to our agenda, we move on to the next panel. The first speaker is Georgios Zervos, who is Special Secretary for the Management of ERDF and ESF, and Panagiotis Pantazatos, representative of DG Regio. They come up to the podium to stay and to remain here because they will be the two speakers for the following two programs. I made this introduction because I would like to ask you something. Please try in these two following panels, please try to catch up with the 1 quarter of delay that we are having. George, the floor is given to you once again for to present us another super program. So you're talking about the problem called environment and climate change. This is the last program under the competency of the General Secretariat. It was approved in August. It's very ambitious. The targets are very ambitious and they must be achieved. I would like to thank Manolis Grafakos and all colleagues from the Ministry of Energy for the excellent cooperation we have been having. The budget is 3.6 billion. It is financed by ERDF with 1.3 billion and by ECF with 1.6 billion. This program was designed in the framework of Policy 2 that aims at creating a greener Europe with lower CO2 emissions, transition to cleaner forms of energy, blue and green investment, circular economy, adaptation to climate change. And one of the innovations of the program is that we have a presentation of the existing condition, and based on that, we try to respond to the problems existing with specific actions. For example, in energy, what are the main challenges? There is an energy-consuming building stock. The second one is that there is uncertainty concerning the energy supply of our country, and there is limited energy interconnection between islands and mainland. In the previous programming period, we had actions that started then, and they move now to the environment program, and specific actions are proposed meeting these issues. The same is true for climate change, which is the main challenge here. Reduced resilience to the climate change impact. We have specific categories of actions that aim at achieving the national strategy goals for adjustment to climate change. We move on with urban revival. What is the existing situation and what is the goal? To the need to reinforce the protection and maintenance of nature and the creation of green-blue infrastructure in urban regions, and not only. We move on to another target now, which is solid waste and circular economy. I would like to give more details here. There is a clear priority axis here, number 4, 800 million euros as budget here, in order to give answers to the long-term big problems of solid waste and circular economy. Everybody knows what is the existing situation today. It shows that Greece, according to the community acquis and what is described in directives, our country does not go hand in hand with the targets that have been set. What is this goal? In 2030 to have 60% recycling and 2035, 65%. There is a clear deviation for our country here. So we've got an issue. What are the solutions that must be found? We must improve the way that we manage manage solid waste. We must have a holistic approach for this management, and we must adopt an effective governance and implication of a rational, efficient, and long-term waste management policy and no fragmentation. FOSDA will play a main role in this case. Of course, there are other issues too. We all know that the practice that exists in our country today is the landfill. This should change. And it will change with a lot of actions of raising the awareness so that all people will realize what is the new reality and new practices. The same goes true for waste, liquid waste. There are specific categories of action. Some are very important and were implemented in the IMEPERA program in the previous programming period. And some others are presented on the slide. An innovation is the implementation of holistic pilot interventions in selected areas. The same is true for biodiversity. We have specific categories of intervention, urban mobility and urban support and aid. I've mentioned earlier that we changed the implementation method, and FOSDA will start playing an important role. But if we want FOSDA to play an important role, they must have the necessary management potential and capacity. That's why 4% of the total budget will be given in order to reinforce the administrative capacity of FOSDA. In this way, we will manage to have strong administration units that can meet the complicated demands of their role. Here we can see the priorities that are set and go hand in hand with the strategy and architecture of the program. Here you can see the pie and the distribution of the budget per priority. And now let's move on to the emblematic, iconic actions of the program. Execonomo program, which means saving money program, will be further moved to the next programming period. Second category has to do with the protection and shielding of the country against floods. Another critical intervention is the completion of the ecological park at Faliro. Last week, the call was launched. That's a very important project with important added value. The adaptation of the existing units of biological treatment and the creation of new units will be done according to new standards. And the last initiative is the one that has to do with Greek eco-islands. Thanks to this innovative intervention, a lot of solutions will be given to problems that these regions face. In conclusion, I'd like to say that this program is the result of a broad consultation scheme. 71 agencies participated. All the programs of the Secretariat were planned following the principle of partnership. We made an important effort, and the planning from the very first beginning was under broad consultation. We received proposals by competent authorities. A lot of drafts were made, they were changed, and I'd like to believe that in cooperation with the European Commission, whom we would like to thank for the excellent cooperation we have been having and the great effort that the management authority have been doing, we have managed to have an excellent innovative program that can provide specific answers, measurable answers to critical issues that are either long-standing or new ones that have now come up due to the developments that occur worldwide. I'd like to thank everyone for the cooperation. I believe that we will be able to launch the first calls very soon. Thank you very much.
Και εγώ ευχαριστώ και να δώσω το λόγο στον Παναγιώτη.
I would like to thank you, and now I would like to give the floor to Panagiotis Pantasatos. He's the head of unit. He was the chief negotiator in practice. So, Panagiotis, we all warmly thank you because you were not only professional, but you were the cool and calm voice. I would like to apologize for the disagreements that we might have had, but we are all passionate. All we are dealing with NSRF, we are all very passionate, and so we would like to thank you all for what you have offered, you and your colleagues, especially you. We all have to thank you for your hard work. Thank you, dear Yannis, for your kind words. Allow me, before starting talking about this program, I should say a big thanks on behalf of my service, and on behalf of my colleagues, and me personally. I would like to thank you for the excellent, impeccable collaboration that we had all this time, Mr. Skalkos, and I see Mr. Grafatos, you, everybody who has worked, everybody from the National Steering Committee, the Coordination Committee, the Managing Authority, all the colleagues that I see here in this hall, and all those who are not attending this meeting. So I believe that these months we managed not only to have approved all the operational programs approved, our country to become one of the first countries, or rather the first country who has that has all its programs approved by the European Commission, but we also managed something more. We managed to have very good, high-quality programs, whose implementation will change the overview or will change the picture of our country. They will be different, and they will be to the benefit of all the society. It will not be a repetition of what we have implemented in the previous programming period. It is what we were saying from the beginning to the European Commission. We don't want this procedure to be business as usual, and we have managed to do so. We managed to have different, very high-quality programs. What did we want right from the beginning when we started the negotiations? Our first priority was one of the top priorities of the European Commission and the European Union, Green Deal. And I believe that all the programs have managed to contribute to the objectives set by the Green Deal. So the key program that is contributing to the Green Deal, we have very important key points in this program. I will start with radically new approach in terms of the solid waste management, a holistic approach starting from the collection to up to the disposal of the wastes. We focused on the new units for recycling and recovering of solid wastes. These are the new plants, new units that will be funded in this new programming period, as well as the contribution in how we are going to transform the old recycling units in order for them to be in order to enable them to contribute to these new objectives. We will have new targets, recycling targets per region, so that we in order to achieve the targets that we have set for recycling. So we will have new targets, new recycling targets per region in order to change the way we manage and govern the recycling system. The primary role will be given to the solid waste management bodies. At the same time, we have a new approach in terms of water and water resources. Here we have a holistic approach, not only in the sectoral program, but also in the regional programs. But the sectoral program will highly contribute to this new holistic approach through the experimental management of water resources in 4 specific areas. Furthermore, this new program aims at completing the management of wastes, of liquid wastes in B class and C class settlements, and it will be introduced in D class settlements in areas that are sensitive or vulnerable due to tourism. Something new that we also have here is the financing tools for private connections. Desalination is something new, with the use of renewable energy sources on our islands, especially on these small islands. A third element that is of great importance is for islands is the initiative that we have agreed, the Greco Islands. This is a new approach for a range of a number of islands. It is a comprehensive and integrated approach, especially for the islands our tourist attractions. And since we had this very good tourism season this year, with all the problems that are stemming from peak tourism season that burden the environment, so this new initiative of Greco Islands will be able to contribute to the the effective management of the environment, but also the management of tourism on a number of islands in our country. This program will contribute with an important budget of 100 million. It will be supplemented by a budget coming from other programs, such as the program of Fair Transition Fund, some budgets from the regional programs for the island regions. So we have a very important package that we can take advantage of in order to implement this initiative. We continue with actions related to energy saving. We supplement the usual ex-economo actions with new actions such as the Atiro, that is, I preserve, in public as well as in private buildings of architectural importance. And there we also make a lot of effort in order to have the energy upgrading by 2 classes in buildings and to save energy by 30%, to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 30%. I will focus on a landmark project that will be implemented in this period. The actions that we're going to implement in the Gulf of Faliro, in the Bay of Faliro. These are actions that introduce the Bauhaus principles, that is a new initiative of Europe for the new programming period. So this will be one of the landmark projects that will incorporate the objectives of the Bauhaus We will be discussing about this since one part will be implemented in the previous program, in the previous period, that is 2014-2020. And we're happy to see that you have proposals for a new management authority of this new park through an international tender that will award the management of this new park. So these are some of the innovative points, innovative elements of this new programming period for the environment. We are supporting the implementation of this program as well as all of the programs. I wish every success. Let's start discussing about the implementation of this program. It's a quite ambitious program. It has many new elements. It's not a repetition of the old one, so the implementation might start from day one. I wish you every success and congratulations once again for your work. Thank you very much. Thank you. The program is in good hands. So, we move on. Now, let's go to the next session of our agenda. So, you will be talking about what in this programming period it is showing that something changed in the template. Because when I started dealing with community affairs, transportation infrastructure reached 50% of the funds that are available. For the first time, it is less than 10. But we have a very ambitious sectoral program that includes very important actions, and you will be talking about these actions. So you take the floor. Thank you. So I will try to be as short as possible. So the transportation program that was approved last July has the same characteristics and the same features as the program for climate change and the environment. It has innovative points and elements, very ambitious objectives, and the methodology for its implementation is different. This is very good, of course. As Mr. Pantazato said, the European Commission is very positive because procedures are changing. We will try to achieve our objectives in a more realistic way. But we have to do things different. And this may be challenging for us, at least at the beginning. In order to avoid these problems, our goal is to start immediately all the implementation procedures for all programs. Manolis Grafakos has left the hall, but he knows very well what has happened in the field of the environment in 2014-2020 period. 2 years have been lost, have been wasted for procedural problems. And the result was that for 3 years, nothing have happened. So in this program, we are running fast, and we are trying to do what we have to do and to restore things. So we will not make the mistakes of the past. With the completion of all the necessary administrative actions, we will issue the calls and the invitations promptly. So all the calls and the invitations for the implementation of the new programs will be issued, will be announced and communicated on time. We must not waste time. So the budget, as Mr. Firva said, is lower than ever. It is only 2.2 billion euro, and it is funded by 2 funds, the Cohesion Fund as well as the European Development Fund. So what is the program? The program has been formulated taking into account all the approved national strategic documents and regulations that have been drafted by the competent ministries, that is the Ministry of Transportation and Infrastructure and the Ministry of Maritime Policy. And so we have to thank our colleagues from the two ministries for their contribution. What are the strategic documents? The National Transport Plan, the National Strategy for the Maritime Policy, the National Strategic Plan for road safety, and the documents that are included in Policy 7. So we see here the strategic objectives. I will be talking about this in detail later on. I have a technical problem, says the speaker. So, accessibility and the connection of the islands and the promotion of interconnected transports. So, let's see the priorities of the program. The program, first we had captured and identified the current situation, the current challenges, the current problems, and we propose specific interventions in order to meet the needs and to manage the challenges. The first priority there's a technical problem with the pointer of the speaker. So, let's say a few things. First, we have green transport. It's the first time that a program provides for 64% of its budget that will be dedicated for the greening of its public transportation system. That is very important. We also have pilot actions for the upgrading of the road urban transport system, not only in the big cities like Thessaloniki and Athens, but also in the other municipalities. We will use a methodology that will be soon to be specified. We will have the multimodality support, emphasizing and prioritizing railways and road connections with ports and airports, the completion of critical parts of the central roadmap, targeted interventions for road safety, and of course the safeguarding of the connectivity and accessibility of islands. Now, how are we going to carry out all these actions? It's the first time that we have partnerships and synergies. Today in our country we have many financing tools available. Mr. Firbas will help us. So, in order to take advantage of all the available financial funds, we will have synergies in order to achieve our goals with the Connecting Europe Facility mechanisms, as well as the Recovery and Resilience Fund on specific issues such as the upgrading of the urban transport systems at Thessaloniki and Athens, the construction of projects, as well as interventions for safety, road safety. Now, the sectors of the program, you can see them. You can also see the budget and the percentage, the budget percentage for each of these sectors. Let's see the strategic projects. The projects of strategic importance is the enhancement and the strengthening and the upgrading of the urban transport systems, the reduction of the greenhouse gas emissions, and the enhancing of the accessibility of the national transport system. So we see here the project for line 4 of the underground of Athens, the construction of the double railway line Athena-Patra. So we have three main targets: to reduce the time of the trip, the increase of the number of passengers, as well as the increase of cargo transportation. We also have the northern road access on Crete, due to the heavy use of this road, we must classify this project as an emblematic, strategic project, because we will have the reduction of the time needed in order to travel on this road. But at the same time, there's a very important issue that we have to underline: road safety. This current road is the road with the highest number of victims per square kilometer in the whole of, more accidents in the whole of Europe. So it is the first time that we will have a new road axis that will link the northern part of the island, and it will provide safety to the transport. It will not only reduce the time of transport, but it will also provide safety, because it is the road with the highest number of accidents in Europe. And finally, we have the expansion, upgrading and modernization of the VTMIS national system, the Vessel Traffic Management Information System. So, what are the results that we are trying to achieve? First, the attractiveness and the environmentally friendly public transport, the railway connection, the interventions of the road axis and the road network to reduce time and to increase passengers and cargo traffic, maritime transport in order to increase the interconnection and the accessibility of islands, and to increase, of course, road safety. Let's say a few words about the program. The program is a comprehensive, integrated program, and thanks to the work of the Management Authority. And I have to congratulate its members, not only for the impeccable technical work that they have performed, but also for their professionalism. I made a negotiation and consultation that lasted for 18 months. There were open issues that have been solved thanks to the work of the competent authorities, but also thanks to the open-minded mentality of the services of the European Commission that we should thank. The program is responding to identified needs of all these sectors. It provides solutions, sustainable solutions to specific issues. That some of them are chronic. And of course, it is going to be activated and implemented immediately. There are projects that will be transferred from the previous programming period, but there are very important new actions, and I have to inform everybody, as well as the European Commission, that we are going to communicate the calls and the invitations for the tenders and for funding and financing, etc. It is very important not to spend time. Time is valuable. This program, as well as the program for the environment and the competitiveness, are coming to provide solutions, and this is why we need to move as fast as possible, because these are all emergency issues. There's no margin and there's no room for delay. And so I would like to thank the Secretary General of the Ministry of Maritime Affairs. We are at a critical point in time for all these three programs. I will not be talking about the fourth program. This will be presented by you. It is also a comprehensive, integrated, a very good program that will provide solutions in very critical issues concerning civil protection. So, Mr. Pantazatos, we're on the same side. We have planned programs, we have safeguarded the funding, and now it is the most critical point. It is not enough to have good planning or to safeguard the funding. The programs have a budget of 10.1 billion euro. We have to provide solutions to the problems that we have to address, sustainable solutions, and we must present actions with added value and good outcomes. This is the only way to manage the challenges that we're faced with. So now it's in our hands, and of course the management authorities who have to perform and carry out all the technical work in collaboration with the National Steering Coordination Authority. Most of the projects, most of the problems have already been solved. We have to give the answers to the questions that are addressed by these programs. So I don't want to abuse the time that you have given me. I would like to thank once again the services of the DG Regio unit. We had an excellent collaboration, excellent programs, very ambitious programs. Nothing would have happened without your encouragement and without your collaboration. You encouraged us to use the lessons learned in order to proceed to innovative solutions, innovative actions. I would like to thank all our colleagues from the competent ministries who have highly contributed to this venture. Thank you very much.
When you say play the ball in our football ground, you mean Apollon, the FC Apollon. So you should be proud of your football club. Panagiotis, the floor is yours. I won't speak long because Mr. Zervos covered everything. I haven't got much to add. I would just like to mention 2 or 3 things that were very important for us when we started the negotiations. It is impressive not only that this program is more reduced. We agreed that we would give other priorities in the new NSRF and not so much in the sector of transport. What is the most impressive of all in this program is that it is a green program. We talk about transport and transportation, and still we have a program that drastically contributes to the greening, if you allow me the term, of urban transports. We have a program that reduces to the contribution of the environmental footprint in the field of transport. We're not talking about classical transportation as we did in the previous programming period because we have completed the basic road accesses successfully. What is left is the northern axis and corridor on the island of Crete, the completion of the corridor Patra-Pyrgos, but the greatest importance will be given to urban transportation systems. We move from the classic road transportation to urban transportation. We've got this transition and shift. We continue investing heavily in infrastructure, both in Athens and in Thessaloniki. We are here in Thessaloniki, and one of the main actions will be to continue the project of the underground here in Thessaloniki. We're expecting the completion of the actions that are financed in this programming period in order to continue with the expansion of the underground to the Macedonia airport. Another project has to do with the new fleet of electric buses in Athens and Thessaloniki. Furthermore, it is the first time that we agreed not to be involved only in Athens and Thessaloniki, but also to look into 10 other cities of Greece. This is a great, important innovation of the program in this new programming period. We give extra emphasis on railroad. We complete infrastructures that started in the previous programming period. And since we are in Thessaloniki, I'd like to mention the railroad projects and the urban and the railroad connection of Thessaloniki to neighboring towns, nearby towns. We also pay a lot of emphasis on sea transportation. We want to improve the interconnection either between islands and mainland or among islands themselves. And finally, the issues of road safety. This is not only a matter of importance on Crete, on the Crete highway, but we also have additional actions in this sector and ambitious goals in order to reduce fatal road accidents by 50% in the following years. In order to gain some time, these are, for me, the main characteristics and changes that are important, and we succeeded in this period, in my mind. And in this program, we wouldn't want to have a repetition of what we have already achieved and implemented in the previous programming periods. We wanted to have a new element of change. I believe we have managed that. We have achieved that. And we're expecting the implementation now. I would like to point out how important the agencies that will implement these actions are. We will try to reinforce and support them. And there is only one pending operational program left upon to agree by the end of this year, and this is technical aid. We should reinforce the agencies and support the agencies concerning their administration and management. We should all help them realize that they have new things to carry out, and we should support them through the monitoring committees that we're going to have in the following months. The presentation of these innovative elements will be made understood. Once again, congratulations on your work. Our support and aid is here for you in this ambitious program so that it will be successful in the years to come. Thank you very much for the cooperation. We made it, yes. We made it to keep the time. According to the program, according to the program, at 7:30, we are going to have the presentation of the program about political protection, civil protection, 21-27. We have two speakers here, Pantelis Georgiadis, who is a new member in the NSRF family, but you have proven to be really valuable. Thank you very much for the so far cooperation. Pantelis is the head in the executive unit for NSRF in the Ministry for Climate Crisis and Civil Protection. And Konstantinos Niafas from the European Commission. Once again, we have had excellent cooperation, Konstantinos. You will tell us what the Commission expects from this approved program. Pantelis, the floor is yours. As you all know, for the first time in the framework of the new programming period 21-27, we're having in our country a program focused on civil protection. This proves the will of the Greek state to support and strengthen the country in fighting against disasters, physical, natural, and not only. We have had a lot of human losses in fires, in Mati, or in floods, and the destructive fires in Varipombi and Evia last summer. In the previous programming periods, and despite the fact that adaptation to climate change and prevention of risk was a distinct point, the funding for civil protection was in a fragmentary way, so we couldn't have actions in a holistic way. The approval of this program and using more financing tools give the possibility to plan a contemporary mechanism for crisis management. To this direction, in the last 2 years, an unprecedented effort has started for the Greek status quo with a series of interventions. The Civil Protection Program aims at creating a contemporary state mechanism in order to prevent risks and reinforce resilience of societies. We aim at protecting human life and property of citizens, the environmental, cultural heritage, the infrastructure of the country, and the services of vital importance, and our resources. There are important targeted interventions in the program. The program for the development of applications and diagnostic systems to tackle natural risks using ICT, the upgrading of the equipment that we have in order to prevent the risks that are linked to extreme weather conditions, upskilling of the employees, and using research as well as health equipment. The total budget of the program is 714 million euros. 750 are from the EU. We have a lot of actions and a lot of priorities. The first priority includes the creation of a national databases for risk, threats, and losses due to disasters, and it amounts to 22.5 billion euros. At real time, data will be transferred from crisis locations to our centers, and the result of this processing will be transmitted to the operation center in order to tackle a crisis. For the first time, the country will have a register of disasters. The second priority has to do with the modernization of equipment, both for prevention and tackling of natural disasters. This amounts to 600 billion euros. Here we also include the financing of air means to extinguish fires. After the pandemic experience, the third priority will provide more means to tackle this kind of health problems. It will create infrastructure to house the afflicted population each time. Other financing tools are used for this priority, and this amounts to 28 billion euros. The fourth priority has to do with the reskilling of human resources. And this amounts to 66 billion euros. Because we believe that citizens must also be informed and aware of what is happening. These citizens should be able to perform in crisis management. That's why we should increase resilience in our societies, and we invest in that. At this point, I would like to refer to the broader program of civil protection. In the last 2 years, the ministry has started a very serious effort to modernize civil protection in our country. The first step was held at institutional level, and we founded the national mechanism. What is this mechanism in practice? This is a vertical and horizontal structure, and it includes all those involved in a crisis. In the core, we have the National Center for Management Crisis and all the special centers that are located in the country. The mechanism is expanded regionally and locally, and there are the administration centers in each region. All involved and competent services are also included. That is the police force, Coast Guard, the armed forces, voluntary organizations, as well as fire brigade. For this reason, the program, we have a new program called EGIS. It is the biggest project that it has ever been planned, and the budget amounts to 2 billion euros. The resources have been found from the Civil Protection Program that we just mentioned, from the Recovery Fund and the European Investment Bank. EGIS program is a complete operational program. It has 4 axes. The first one has to do with the modernization of the infrastructure. The second, in the timely notification. The third one in the equipment and means for coordination, and the fourth one in the operational equipment and means of tackling the crisis. In our country, we have a modern administrative center. We have the National Center for the coordination, and there we have the Center for Health Risks and the Center for Preventing and Managing Natural Disasters. At the same time, we will have 1 regional center in each region of the country. So we will have 13 of those. We will also acquire radars and other meteorological equipment that is necessary for this process. We will create a new stall of air fleet. So we will have a basis of small, flexible firefighting planes on the islands, and we will also purchase small choppers for helicopters for fighting for extinguishing fires. I would like to thank all the people who were involved in this effort, and I would like to thank my colleagues in public. We are a small group of people with little experience, but we manage to be up to the level that we should be. Thank you very much.
We thank you. We know that you are very effective and you are very hardworking. Because apart from the NSRF, you are the ones in charge of the other programs. So, let's move on to Konstantinos. Last but not least. Thank you. Let me start with my thanks. I should thank the central services of the Ministry for the Development for their contribution along the consultation and negotiation. And I should thank Mr. Georgiadis and his colleagues in the Ministry and the unit that is in charge of the climate change for the excellent collaboration that we had. As you said, Mr. Georgiadis, this is an innovative program for the management of the risks entailed in natural disasters, stemming from natural disasters. So we have to promote. We will take measures and projects and make investments in this new programming and investing period, and why these new investments must aim at a more resilient environment. The vast majority of the funding schemes and the funding tools that are channeled through this program concern expenditures that are included in Target 4 for the prevention of the climate change and the prevention of natural disasters and the creation and the enhancement of resilience, taking into account all the risks that are due to nature and ecosystems. The special national objectives are based on the National Plan for the Management of Natural Disaster Risks and also the UCPN. And, of course, the national environmental strategies for the adjustment to the climate change based on the new terms that were included. The public support must be provided after the undertaking of alternative mechanisms. So these elements must be supplemented by elements that concern the assistance provided through the UCPN. We also take into account, and we have examined strategies as the case may be for specific risks. For example, plans to manage the flood risks, the protection of forests, and special national plans. So with the decision of the 16th of June, the Commission has approved the program Civil Protection. The program aims at promoting projects and actions for the prevention of risks, to upgrade the mechanism for emergency risks, emergency management, to upgrade the skills and to mobilize volunteers organizations. Mr. Georgiadis, you have presented the 5 priorities of the program, so I don't need to repeat them. I would just only like to say that during the consultations and the negotiations, we have analyzed the budget, and the analysis of this budget shows that out of the 4 phases of the mechanism for the management of risks, we have 23% for prevention, 48% for management, and about 3% for prompt restoration. So we have an inequality, but this is within the context of the EIS program for civil protection and in an overall architecture for risk management. It includes actions and investments in all the phases of risk management mechanism. A typical example are the investments for for the flood management. There will be actions in the regional programs as well as in the sectoral program. So this is a set of actions and initiatives that cover all the phases of risk management. And the program for state development. So as we should also note that in terms of the heavy air means and the aircrafts, the proposals that have been submitted were based on a cost-efficiency analysis, and we have also taken into account the maintenance costs. Finally, the contribution in the achievement of the climate objectives is very high, over 80%, and the expected results, the expected outcomes include the 3 million users new and upgraded digital services, 25,000 people who will complete and conclude their upskilling, and 2.5 million citizens who will be benefited by information and awareness-raising actions. You have presented the strategic actions, as well as the integrated information system and the aircrafts and the vehicles to be used, to be introduced. Another very important point is that during as we will move on with we will proceed with the implementation of the program. We need to have an optimal coordination with the similar actions of the Recovery Fund in all 13 regional centers for civil protection that are provided for by the NRF. And I would like to conclude by saying that our fight against the climate change and the prevention of risk of natural disasters is a concern of all of us. But as the Directorate General for the Regional and Urban Policy of the European Commission, we are very happy because in this programming period, the funds of the structural funds are also aiming at safeguarding that the people that are at the front line in this fight will have the necessary means in order to do their job in the proper way. And we will want to safeguard the raising of the awareness of the local societies and of all of us. I would like to wish every success to this very important venture of yours. Thank you.
Dear colleagues, we have reached the end of our day and of our event today. I believe we have met the target of this open day. Our target today was not to get into detail and consult. The objective was to inform the audience, either online or physically present here, so that you will become aware of the fact that the new NSRF has started and that it has a very important, innovative and ambitious programs. I would like to thank the organization team who worked really hard. We would like to thank the interpreters for their excellent job and the technicians as well. Thank you very much. Every success to Yannis' team and not Antetokounmpo's team. Thank you.